Hello everyone. I'm going to be talking about the Kechari Mudra today. So, I'm going to make this, I guess, kind of short, relatively short. For those of you who don't know what the Kechari Mudra is, they call it the king of all mudras in the yoga community, or when you're a yogi. And it's essentially when you put the tongue behind the uvula, which is the hangy thing in the back of the throat, and it goes over the palate. And at stage 4, I'm going to go through all the stages. At stage 4, you can put it behind the holes of the nostril. And there's 2 holes back here in the nostril cavity. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to talk about how I even came about it, how it even figured out or learned what it was. From when I was 16, I believe. No. When I was 9, I had my tonsils taken out. And ever since I had my tonsils taken out, I remember being on the bed and playing with my tongue and putting it back there to see if I could touch the tonsils. And I couldn't. But then one day I actually moved it back there and my tongue got stuck back there behind the uvula. And I was freaked out, and I immediately put it back in my mouth. And it kind of freaked me out for a while. So I played with that ever since I was like 8 or 9. And throughout high school, I maybe showed a couple people because I just thought it was a cool trick to show people. And I'd periodically do it. And I actually ran into another person in high school who could do it. And then I let it go. I forgot about it because when I was 21, that's when life kind of hit me in the face. And then recently, about a year or 2 ago, I was teaching a water ceremony class at Bagua Center. And in walks in Maru, and he was walking. He said that Spirit was telling him to walk to Bagua, and he comes and he opens the door to my class, and it was right at the end of the class when we were just talking about the ceremony, and he goes, "Hey, something guided me here. I just wanted to say hi and stop by." And he's like, "Has anyone here heard of the Kechari Mudra?" And I'm just listening. And he goes, "Yeah, it's when you could put the tongue behind the back of the throat and all this stuff, and ascended masters can do it, and really powerful yogis can do it." And I was like, listening in my mind, I was like, "Go on, what else do you know?" And he starts telling me about it, and that night I went home and I did all this research on Kechari Mudra, and I came to find out that this is something that's been done for like thousands of years, and it's only capable through a period of time, like a long period of time. So I want to first show you what it looks like from the front view, because obviously you're not able to see the side view, otherwise you'd have to like see through my face. So I'm going to show what it looks like. I hope the quality is good. Give me 1 second. Hang on. So, from there, what you do see is the uvula, which is pointing forward. But what you don't see is my entire tongue is back in that crevice behind the palate, behind this hard part. It goes from the hard part to the soft part. Okay, I'll do it again once I'm done describing it for a moment. So there's the hard part and then the soft part. When then the soft part turns into the uvula. And then when you go past the uvula, that's when you go into the nasal cavity. And if you get into that spot, you can touch the top wall, which is like, it feels like membranes. And then when you get past that, there's the two spots where the nasal passages are. And you can actually do alternate nostril breathing without touching your nose by putting the tongue back into that spot. And the whole reason to do this is it's when you get the tongue in a proper position in those nostrils, you can get this liquid that's called amarit. Amarit is something that they say puts you in a state of bliss and euphoria, and it also gives you a lot of motivation. And I'm going to be talking about that in a moment. So I'm going to show you one more time. Hang on. It's weird pushing my head forward and doing this. Let me see if I can grab it and then do it the normal way, how I normally do it. I'm not sure if it was blurry, so just let me know if that was blurry or not. But it's really difficult to do it forward than when I'm normal. So how the different stages. This is the stages of how I feel they are. And after this I'm going to post a link on this Facebook Live so that you can do a little bit more research and what I learned even further. So the first stage is I'll show it again a couple more times just so that we can get a moment where it's not as blurry. So stage 1 is essentially you want to just use the tongue on the top of the roof of the mouth where there is the hard palate. So it's like that bone. And what I've noticed in my experience of this journey so far is periodically the roof of my mouth will start to tickle or itch. And I know in my reality I've created many different tools for myself to remind myself to be present, and that's one of them. It's a subconscious one that I contracted for myself. Another one which I had to learn what that was in the first place. Another one is I have a deviated septum, so I only breathe at a one nostril at a time, and it switches by itself. Another one to be aware is my posture. So a lot of times when you see me, I have a upright posture, and when you create tools like this for yourself, you give yourself many opportunities to be present in your environment. So stage 1 is using the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and you just start stimulating the roof of the mouth. You start playing with the different what do you call them? It just feels like different sections of the roof of the mouth, and you start stimulating it. When you stimulate that, the nasal passage will start to give you the amarit without you even having to go all the way back in there. So that's stage 1. Stage 2 is, let me open my mouth. So underneath the tongue, for a lot of people, there is a little piece of tissue that holds the tongue to the bottom. And in the different traditions, to cheat your way to being able to do the Kechari Mudra, they would actually sever that. They would cut that. I would not recommend it because it's not the natural way to do it. This type of work takes many years to get to, from what I've read. But then there's also people who naturally do it, like myself. When I got my tonsils taken out, I realized that I can do it. So the second stage would be to go back to the soft palate. So there's the hard palate right in the front, and then there's the soft palate behind that. So, and that's linked to the what's the hangy thing again? The uvula. So when you can start playing with the uvula, you can start tickling the uvula, and you can start stimulating the uvula, and that can also secrete amarit at certain periods of time. Then, when you start stretching that membrane by sticking your tongue back there, and this, like I said, this takes many years of practice for some people, so you have to be able to diligently work on it continuously. So you start stretching that out by moving it back there. And there's different exercises that you can do. Like, I was never able to touch the 2 nasal passages until me playing with it for a couple years. Because I start remembering all the stuff that I used to do with my tongue, and I was like, wow, I didn't think that was a thing, but I just did it all subconsciously in my childhood. So one of the things that I would do is I would fold my tongue, and then as I fold my tongue, you basically push back so that you can feel that stretching sensation. It's essentially tongue yoga, and it sounds funny, but you really are doing tongue yoga because you're stretching out that skin that is connecting the tongue to the bottom. So you would fold the tongue and push back so that you can feel that stretching sensation. And you do that for a long time so that you can keep stretching that membrane out. So that's stage 2, touching the uvula or touching the soft membrane. Then third stage is finally getting your tongue past the uvula into that other passageway. So when you get into that space, that's when you can start collecting amarit more regularly. And there's times like that I even forget about this, so I have to write notes for myself to not forget the Kechari Mudra, because I'd say maybe the past 2 weeks I've been very unmotivated for a couple things. So when I feel that, I remind myself by looking at the post-it notes that I've written, and it says, remember Kechari Mudra, and I'm like, oh shit, okay. So I do it, and then, no joke, but the moment that I actually put my tongue back there in the nasal passage, I just have this surge of motivation again, this surge of energy. Like right now, actually I did it yesterday night before I went to sleep, and I just want to like do a lot of shit right now. It's carried on to now. So it gives you a lot of motivation, a lot of drive. And what's really cool about this is that this is something that's been around for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, that people have talked about, and they've written about it. So when I came across this, I was like, holy fuck. If I can do this, that means that, like, I've been a yogi for a very long time. So when you start to play with this, and you start to learn how powerful this can be, and how powerful you are, you start thinking about all the different lifetimes that we've come to do this. Does it make it easier if you have a long tongue? I think it's based on technique, to be honest. It's also based on if that part of the skin is, if it's not stretched out, or if it's not connected hard enough or hard to the bottom, you won't be able to do it. So you have to make sure that part here is pretty stretched out in order to do it. Oh, that just reminded me, as I did that, another way that I stretched that skin out is as I have my tongue up, I would use my finger and I would push against it. Because when you push against it and you have your tongue out that way, you start to feel the stretching sensation there. And wow, this is bringing back memories that I haven't even thought about. When I was in high school, I would do this at home, and I would get to the point where I would stretch it so much that I actually felt like it was going to rip off. I didn't even know what I was doing. So it's really interesting to reminisce on that. So anyways, so that's the third stage, is getting it back behind the uvula, behind the hangy thing in the back of the throat. Awesome. So that's what you want to do, is to stretch that out. So put the tongue up, and you push against that little, that cord, or like that rubber band sensation there. So keep playing with that. And then after the third stage is once you get up in there and you start like familiarizing yourself with the membranes up there, then it's the fourth stage. Fourth stage is when you can actually go behind the nostril. You can go behind the nasal cavity, which is about, it's about right here that your tongue goes. So it can actually go inside both cavities. And when you put your tongue in there, you have to maneuver your tongue, and you have to angle it in a way so that it goes up even higher, and then it goes up to like right about here in the back. And then when you do that, you'll start to taste the Amrit like fully. You'll start to receive it, and it'll just excrete whenever you want it to be. And then you can also do alternate nostril breathing, which, if you've ever done alternate nostril breathing in yoga, it's very therapeutic for yourself. So I want to read, for those of you who don't understand what the Kechari Mudra is, I'm going to read the, where is it at? A little description about what this is, or what it can do for you. So give me 1 second. Where is it? Okay. So I'm going to read this out for you guys. Kechari Mudra is a subject of increasing discussion and debate these days. It is a good sign. It means that it is coming out of the shadows of the esoteric yoga and into the early morning sunshine of this rising new age of enlightenment. What is Kechari Mudra? Let's put it into terms that we can easily relate to. A centimeter or two above the roof of our mouth is located one of the most ecstatically sensitive organs in our whole body. It can be reached relatively easily with our tongue. It is located on the back. It is located on the back edge of the nasal septum, and when the nervous system is purified enough through advanced yoga practices, our tongue can roll back and go into the cavity of our nasal pharynx to find the sensitive edge of our septum. When this happens, it is like a master switch in the closed in our nervous system, and all of our advanced yoga practices and experiences begin to function on a much higher level. When Kechari is entered naturally, we come on to the fast track of yoga. It is the major league of yoga, if you will. Ramakrishna said, when the divine goddess comes up, the tongue rolls back. Many have experienced this natural phenomenon at times in their yoga practices. When the nervous system is ready, it just happens. The tongue wants to go back. But few are able to follow through, and this is just a matter of education. If strong bhakti is there and the tongue is rolling back, it is a short trip to make the connection in the pharynx to a higher level of spiritual experience. So, just based off that, and I'm going to share this link, but Jessica is right. This is not something that everyone is going to be able to do. And even if it's not for everyone, what I'm saying is, if you're not meant to do it, it's not going to happen. This is just awesome knowledge to have, so that you know it's there, and you know what to strive for, you know what to go for. So setting it as like a waypoint, or like a bookmark, like, oh shit, okay, that's possible. Alright, cool, I'm going to set all of my goals now to get to that stage. So then you get to that platform. And then once you get to that platform, then you can build off of that platform. So even if I'm sharing this to people, it doesn't make a difference. If your body is not able to handle it yet, you won't be able to do it. Or something will come up and will prevent you from doing it. But yeah, don't cut that for any reason. Do it naturally. Let's see. So I'm going to show a couple more times of me doing the Kechari Mudra, and if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message or private. In this video, I will post the link of the Kechari Mudra and what I've read, which is very important to read if you want to dive further into your spiritual practice in terms of the yoga lineage. So, all right. So this is what it's going to look like again. So that's what it looks like, okay? So the tongue is all the way back in there. I'm going to show it one more time. Now, some people have asked me when I show this to them, they ask me, why do I do that sound like, For me, what I've learned in my practice when I started doing this is I could get my tongue back to where the uvula is, but you have to provide some sort of, in my body, I provide some sort of air that instead of the uvula staying back there, it pushes the uvula forward, and then my tongue can actually go back. So it's like we're switching roles. So if you notice, the tongue, or the uvula is still back there because the tongue is pushing it back. Now, if I do that air motion, it pushes the uvula forward, so it actually gives me more room to put my tongue even further back in there, so that I can touch the nasal cavities, and I can touch the two different the sides of the membranes there. So I just wanted to show you that and talk to you about a really beautiful mudra that's been around for hundreds, if not thousands, of years in the yoga community, and it's something to strive for. It's something that a lot of different ascended masters have been able to do. It's something that will support you, because it's just another tool for remembrance of how powerful you really are. So, something to play with, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope, well, actually, before we end, I want to talk about the benefits that this provides. So give me 1 second, and benefits for me anyways is, I'm not married, no. The benefits for me anyways is giving me motivation. It's when I remember to do it, because in my story, like, I forget how powerful I am, which is common for most people. When they start to do this work, you just forget. You get lost in a story and like, fuck, I'm at the whim of my circumstances, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden I remember, oh, I could do this. Okay. So it's just something to think about. Okay. So the benefits are, they say that performing Kechari Mudra, the yogi overcomes fainting, laziness, thirst, and hunger. The yogi does not suffer from disease, decay, and death. The immune system becomes very strong. The body becomes divine. In the Jarati Samhita, as well as the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it is said that such a yogi becomes immune to poison and snake bites. Kechari Mudra also helps the practitioner to attain samadhi and the superconscious state. The secretions, which is also known as amarit, when consumed, give great benefits to the body and has anti-aging properties. Kechari Mudra is also used by yogis to do astral traveling, which, if you follow me, you know that I teach astral projection. So it's just, I actually learned to do the astral projections first before I even knew what this is. So all this stuff in my own story is coming together to show me how powerful I am, to show me what I can do. And I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing similar things where all this stuff is getting put together and you're like, holy fuck, I'm actually this powerful? Wow, okay. But then that fear of responsibility kicks in and you're like, I don't know if I want to do that, because then I have to do this. So that's just a common thing I feel, is fear of responsibility, because I'm still experiencing it a little bit. The mudra helps the yogi to detach from the astral body, detach the astral body from the physical body, and travel into astral planes. Kechari Mudra is considered the king of all mudras and is given great importance in all the ancient yogic texts. So that's just something that I wanted to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and look in the comments section and I will post a few links if you want to do some more research on Kechari Mudra, because I really feel that someone who is going to watch this is going to realize that they can do it, and they're like, holy shit, I've been able to do this my whole life. Just like how Madhu came to my class and he's like, hey, have you ever heard about this? And my eyes just opened wide. So I hope you have an amazing day, and I will talk to you guys when I talk to you. Bye.